One of the quickest ways that jazz pianists can use to make their playing sound more modern is to switch from common tertian voicings to quartal voicings. That means voicings in fourths. There is a formula that I will show you in this video on exactly how to do this. We're going to compare the two and why the quartal voicings sound a lot more modern. I think this is something that's truly going to revolutionize your playing. At the end of the video, I'll post a link to download the sheet music that we'll be using in this video. It's going to take about 10 minutes to share this entire formula with you. It's super important. So if you haven't got the time right now, just below this video on the right-hand side, there's a save button. Click that and then click the little checkbox that says watch later. The first thing we're going to do is listen to examples of first the tertian voicings and then the quartal voicings. You can see the chord changes to Autumn Leaves on your screen. Basically, it's a 2-5-1 of B flat major, and then it goes to the 4 chord, and then there's a 2-5-1 of G minor. Let's play that first with our traditional tertian voicings. These are left-hand voicings in thirds. Okay, and then the quartal voicings are going to sound quite a bit more hollow, maybe a little bit more dissonant. Let's listen to that. Okay, I hope you heard the difference between those two examples. Let's get into the details of how to create these left-hand quartal voicings. The key signature is B flat, so we'll throw that in there. And we're really just working on the left hand. So let's take the 2-5-1, C minor 7 to F7 to B flat. C minor 7, a typical tertian voicing is the 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. Sounds like this. And then the F7 with a flat 9 sounds like this. And it is E flat, G flat, A, and C. And then our B flat chord is 3, 5, 7, and 9 of B flat. So let's now make the quartal voicing. The formula is this. Start with the 3rd, finish with the 9th. So you still have the same 2 notes on the outside, but the inside note will be a 4th. And that ends up being the 6th of the chord. So from this to this. Notice you've got the tritone in the bottom and a perfect 4th on top. Now, interestingly enough, the voicing is exactly the same for the F7 flat 9 chord. Now, I realize that chord doesn't have the flat 9 in it. If you wanted to put that in, it would be this note, which is essentially G flat. So this is the straight F7 chord, and then with the flat 9. So you could play your chords like this, C minor 7 to F7 flat 9, and then B flat 7 is the same formula as C minor. You use the 2 outside notes, the 3rd and the 9th, and then put your 13th in the middle. So let's hear the progression one more time using tertian voicings. Here's the quartal voicings. You could create another version of that chord by moving the top note to the bottom. You get a chord that sounds like this. All we did was take the D from the top, put it at the bottom, which creates this minor second. So it's a little bit more dissonant. Now, one other opportunity you have for the C minor 7th chord is you can actually go up the scale to this chord. Interestingly enough, this chord contains the 7th and the 3rd of C minor. So there's 2 different voicings for C minor 7. And you can go back and forth between the 2 when you comp. Interesting, right? F7 chord, I wouldn't play around too much with inversions because you've got this tritone which exists here, and that really spells F7. Now I realize it's the same chord as C minor 7, but that's really the whole point of this. You want these hollow sounding voicings that don't commit to any chord per se, although the tritone is definitely in there. Now for major seventh chords, you can start on the third. And just before we get to that, I'd like to point out that every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we host the Jazzmentl live stream tutorials. This means you can come on, ask your questions. It's a very interactive session. I look forward to seeing you there. You can find previous live streams here on our channel if you just click the live button. Now for major seventh chords, you can start on the third and play a perfect fourth and a perfect fourth, but you can also start on the major seventh, which is this note, and play a perfect fourth and a perfect fourth. So A, D, and G. Either this chord or this chord. Now the only other chord that we don't have a formula for is our A half diminished seventh, or what some people call A minor 7 flat 5. They're both the same chord, just a different name. And funnily enough, the chord voicing for A half diminished seventh is starting on the flat 5 of the chord and then playing the root. Right there is our tritone, and yeah, you guessed it, it's exactly the same voicing as our C minor 7th chord. So then let's quickly discuss the 2, 5, 1 in G minor. There is our A half diminished 7th chord. And then we're going to go to D7 flat 9. So this will be the same chord voicing strategy and formula we used on the F7 chord, or for all dominant 7th chords. Let's start on the third, which is the F sharp. Play our C natural. There's our tritone, and then a perfect fourth on top. So we would go from the A half diminished 7th to D7 flat 9 to G minor 7. So we've covered minor 7th chords, dominant 7th chords, major 7th chords, and even half diminished 7th chords. That's really the only formulas that you need for quartal voicings. And then you might be asking yourself, hey Paul, what about diminished chords? Well, we did have a diminished chord. It's an F7 flat 9 chord. Use this voicing because it contains portions of the diminished 7th chord. So there is some good news. I created some sheet music, left-hand chord voicings based on Autumn Leaves. And you can start on the very first bar. You can see that I've written them as whole notes, but you can play whatever rhythms you like. But let's play them as whole notes going from bar to bar. Second line. Now, I know this voicing is a little bit different than the one we've talked about, but you can also play it like this. And then our D7 flat 9 to G minor. And then I've done an inversion of the C minor chord, and then an inversion of F7, and then B flat major 7 to E flat major 7, and then A half diminished 7th. And then starting on the A half diminished 7th, all right, there you have it. There is our left-hand chordal voicings for Autumn Leaves. I'm going to post a link to download these examples in just a moment. First, I want to jump over to the grand piano and play a chorus of solo on Autumn Leaves using similar types of left-hand chordal voicings. And I'm playing this along with a bass and drums backing track. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you in just a moment with the link to the sheet music. And as I promised earlier, I'm going to post a link to the sheet music that we've been talking about in this tutorial. It's free to download. I'm going to post a link up here in the corner, and it's also in the description below. And I recently did a video about a reharmonization of body and soul. I think it's a great one to watch if you're looking for more modern and advanced chord voicings. I'm going to post a link to that video right here.